Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Nimbus here with a brand new video for you guys today. And if you watched the last video, which will be linked at the end of this video, and one of the boxes will be on your left or your right, we'll see when we get to that point. Talked about Soul Frame, so go check that out after this video. Today we'll talk about Skull and Bones. We're going to watch the Skull and Bones trailer that Ubisoft released. We're going to talk about Skull and Bones as well. This isn't just, you know, me sitting in front of a TV screen or watch something, you watch me watch something. Like, no, we're going to talk about it. This isn't one of them basic ass reaction kind of shits. Like, no, we talk about stuff here. So Skull and Bones, which I'm going to do a video for, was announced years ago, and it was very promising because, like, this is around the time where Assassin's Creed 4 was popular as hell. Assassin's Creed 3 introduced the naval thing for Assassin's Creed games, and it was such a popular thing when it came to fan reaction to the naval combat of Assassin's Creed games, to where Ubisoft was like, all right, let's do an actual game based around, you know, like a 5v5 naval combat video game, kind of like with For Honor, but with naval ships. And it was basically just in development purgatory for years. Like, no one has seen anything Skull and Bones related for years. Like, they had like a trailer before at one of the E3s, and it looked great, but then there's just nothing new came out forward. Then a few years ago, they came out with, like, they were talking about how they basically just redid the entire game to be more cartoonish and be more like Fortnite. Is what an article I read was what one of the developers said. It was making more Fortnite like in terms of trying to draw in that child and teen audience. And that got a lot of negative feedback because people didn't want that. People wanted what they saw with that initial trailer that showed off, you know, this dark, grimy, you know, naval combat. And hopefully, you know, it still maintains some of that. But there's a lot of things that's been coming out in reports that makes it sound like Skull and Bones is going to be a dud, and that even the developers aren't that high on it. Like, this might be one of those video games where they're going to put it out because they worked on it for so long, and they want us to try to get something out of it when it comes to the ROI, which means return on investment. They don't want to just have this game die and be thrown to shelves or just thrown away when it puts so many years into it. So this is going to be one of them games that you should be hesitant to pick up, mostly because of that thought process of they might just complete this game just to say they beat it, they completed it, and then put it out and hope you buy it. But it might not be a good game because a lot of reports, there's been developers who've come out and said that the game at launch is not going to be a full experience. Is not going to be great. The character creation won't be very great, and that's kind of unfortunate to hear because when we first heard of Skull and Bones, we were very excited. Let's watch the trailer that they put out recently, see what was here, and after the video, we'll talk more about it once we see what we see.
Welcome to Skull and Bones.
So it definitely looks more colorful. Like I said, the original game looked very grimy and dark.
In a world inspired by the beautiful yet dangerous Indian Ocean. You'll start your journey as an outcast whose goal is to become the most infamous pirate to sail these treacherous waters.
You know, how will this game separate itself from Sea of Thieves?
After surviving a shipwreck, you begin your adventure in St. Anne, one of the pirate
very basic visuals when it comes to graphics, to be honest with you. It doesn't look like earth-shattering or amazing, like it's utilizing the hardware of modern PCs and Series X and PS5s.
Contracts and socialize with other players. Any pirate worth their salt will tell you that preparation is key to success. Get ready for any challenges that come your way by checking that your cargo is
definitely like there's a graphical downgrade. If you compare this to like what we saw the original trailers for Skull and Bones, it looks like there's definitely a graphical downgrade.
As a rookie pirate, you'll only have access to a small dhow, but as you progress, you'll be able to craft different ships, each with their own unique playstyle. At sea, you'll need to pay close attention to the condition of your ship and the morale of your crew. Your crew are a pack of vicious raiders and rovers who will mutiny against you, if not kept well fed and happy.
This is a cool mechanic.
If your ship sinks, you'll lose some progress and respawn at the nearest discovered den or outpost. The good news is that most of your cargo will be recovered, and you'll have the opportunity to retrieve the rest from the wreckage. But you'd better be quick, as other players can also steal it. As a pirate captain, Your reputation is everything, and our game tracks this through infamy. The higher your infamy, the more opportunities you'll get. One of the many ways to grow your infamy is to take up contracts. These are deals that you can make with other pirates in the world.
It's a very colorful boat.
Contracts can have great rewards.
We definitely would not want to be a colorful freaking boat in a PvP VE video game.
You can also gain infamy
Make sure
by
easy to spot.
completing other activities such as exploration, plundering, treasure hunts, investigations, dynamic events, and much more. You can undertake these either solo or with other players. The world of Skull and Bones is filled with riches and resources that you'll be able to gather as you explore. Lagoons and
honestly feel like this game's probably like one of them bloated ass games that doesn't have like an actual good story or anything like that. It's just a lot of time wasting content.
You'll also be able to harvest a variety of raw materials such as ore and
Like you're
wood
just doing
that
stuff
can
just to
be
do stuff
refined
with
and
no
used
actual
for
real
craft.
purpose.
Crafting is an essential activity for you to progress as an infamous pirate. Obtain blueprints and use your refined
To notice in the trailer,
resources
they're
to
not mentioning
craft
story. They're not
stronger
talking about the
ships,
story. Just about
weapons,
just
and
the
armors.
crafting and what you can do in the game. You know,
In Skull and
exploration
Bones,
wise.
ships serve many different purposes. Cargo ships are slower, but useful if you need to transport large volumes of loot. Navigation ships sail faster, but have less cargo space and lower hull HP. Firepower ships have more gun ports, allowing you to deal higher damage, but are more challenging to maneuver. Similarly, you can craft a wide array of unique weapons and armors, from Greek fires to giant ballistae to rocket launchers and mortars, as well as different armor types, which have varying strengths and weaknesses against incoming attacks.
Eesh.
With your new fleet and growing arsenal, create a loadout based on your personal playstyle to become a force of destruction.
Your personal playstyle is going to come down to meta. Every PvP game comes down to whatever the meta is. There's going to be like some meta builds with ships, and that's what people are using. Now, what the people's personal playstyle are.
Use your spyglass to identify lucrative trade routes or wealthy merchant ships, and assess your prey's cargo and firepower. Strategize a plan of attack based on your opponent's defenses and take advantage of their weak points to deal more damage. Sinking your foes from afar rewards you with only a portion of their cargo, as some of it will be lost to the depths. Getting in close to execute a boarding maneuver will help maximize your gains. But beware, you can turn from predator to prey in a heartbeat if you attract the unwanted attention of privateers, the merciless pirate hunters that patrol the seas. If you enjoy the thrill of the hunt, you can also seek out other players and rain terror on them. Such PvP battles are high-stakes activities that can be rewarding if you emerge victorious. From your spoils of battle, personalize your individual look with outfits that
Like much like a
command
New
respect.
World expansion.
You can also select
Like if
from a
New World
multitude of ship
came out like
customization
a
options to
naval
instill fear
pirate
in your
like
enemies.
expansion, this is what it look like.
With the wind in your sails, journey to the furthest reaches of the Indian Ocean. From the coast
Like
of
if I didn't tell you
Africa
this was called
to
Skull and
the
Bones by
East
Ubisoft,
Indies.
you would probably like thinking to yourself like, is this what kind of expansion from New
Encounter
World?
extreme weather events like violent storms and monstrous rogue waves.
I was gonna say like what we can look forward to when it comes to like the environment. Like will the
Keep your
weather
eyes
be so
peeled for
impactful in naval
outposts,
ships? Will there
which
be
are
like
safe
water
spots
spouts?
where
You
you'll be able to
know,
dock
water
your
tornadoes
ship for a
essentially.
short rest
That there
from
were in
perilous
Assassin's Creed 4.
seas.
Like
Here,
will there be
you can
tsunamis and
trade
things
with
or
traveling
hurricanes that can happen,
merchants
you know,
and
out at
clandestine
sea?
smugglers selling
Things that
rare
can
and
impact the
illegal
player,
goods.
you know, at random that you can't plan. So like you be like a PvP battle and water sprouts are happening, or a hurricane happens, or tsunami happens.
Although all the content in Skull and Bones can be done solo, you might enjoy ruling the seas with your friends. While sailing, you can also easily invite other pirates you encounter to group up. Synergize your different playstyles, ships, and weapons to defeat deadlier enemies. As you grow stronger, take on more difficult challenges, such as attacking forts and plundering settlements. And, if you're bold enough, engage in dynamic events, like taking down heavily laden merchant ships and their fleet of warship escorts. Now, it's up to you to write your own story. Remember, there
Write
is
your
no
own
one
story.
path to
Basically
follow,
telling you we
no
don't really
one
have
way
a story
to
here,
play.
so
The
we
world
want you to
of Skull
role
and
play.
Bones
Just
is
mentally
yours to
role play
discover.
on what's actually going on here. Get your own, your pirate backstory. Like honestly, when you watch that trailer, do you feel like you're seeing an amazing video game? Do you feel like you're seeing something that you have to buy, that you have to play, that you have to get into? Me personally, no. I feel like if you play Sea of Thieves, would you want to stop playing Sea of Thieves, play Skull and Bones? Probably not, because you already put so much time into Sea of Thieves, and you didn't see anything in that video that will tell you I need to stop playing Sea of Thieves to play that. Or if you play any kind of 44 games like For Honor, if you still play For Honor, does that make you want to stop playing For Honor to play that? If you play Assassin's Creed 4, Assassin's Creed 3, or Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you know, you had these naval components of those games, does that look like something that you want to play? You know, one of the things, this is a recent article a few weeks ago where a former Ubisoft developer said that Skull and Bones lacks depth. That means the game's empty. Like, they're telling you that the game is literally going to lack any kind of real semblance of fulfillment. Like they said it, like I said, the former developers from Ubisoft said it lacks depth, which is funny because this is a naval game, you know, sea depth. Anyways, I just feel like there's not going to be a lot there. Like, something about that, like, this game just breathes empty experience. Like, it literally breathes empty experience. Like, I can see this being a day one Game Pass game because Ubisoft just wants to put it out and just be done with it. And if it does, you know, for some reason or somehow generate, you know, any kind of budget, you know, because any game has a budget that they spend. If Ubisoft makes back that budget, maybe they'll start putting more content into the game at a later date, because everything nowadays in modern gaming is more of like a live service experience anyways. But I just don't see anything impressive when it comes to Skull and Bones. So that's not the only trailer. That's another trailer. We're going to watch both the trailers that they put out. So we're going to go ahead and watch the second trailer as well, not just that one video. So let's do that.
Society has rules. It decides where you belong.
So we just saw gameplay before. You can already tell the visual difference between the gameplay in this trailer. This is not an engine. This is just like an actual CGI trailer.
But you can chart a new course.
I mean, it's still almost about the same kind of hairstyle, both our hair a little rough.
Seems a certainty. Do not give up.
Yeah, he got basic black guy hairstyle number 5, starter dreads.
On the shores of a new world, you awaken. More determined than ever to carve a life of your choice. Fighting under our own flag, we will take what's ours.
Could you imagine this game doesn't have she shanties? Like, some of the best parts of Assassin's Creed 4 naval combat and Odyssey's naval combat is the she shanties. Basically, if you don't know what she shanty is, it's when people are singing on boats. You know, your crew starts to freaking sing.
We will take on
Can you imagine that this game doesn't have that? Like, other Ubisoft games involving naval combat has it, but not Skull and Bones, the game that's all about naval combat.
Today, you decide where you belong and what you're worth. Now choose. Will you live as pawns or die as pirates?
Be honest with you, the trailer makes that game look so much better than it actually is. like, if we're being honest, if you watch that after watching that gameplay footage we saw versus watching a CGI trailer, the gameplay looks like shit and looks like it's gonna be boring, but the CGI trailer looks like it's actually gonna be interesting and fun to play. Like, that's how they trick you when it comes to trailers. Like, the trailer looks like it's intriguing as hell. It looks like, yo, might want to play that game. You watch like the actual gameplay footage and you're like, game looks empty. Like, it was funny. I just scrolled down in the comments and I see a comment. The trailer always looks 100% better than the actual game. Like, yeah, like it looks better. Like, that looks intriguing. That looks like a fun, intriguing game. But we just watched the actual gameplay trailer, and the gameplay trailer looks like shit. Like, it doesn't look interesting. It doesn't look fun. It looks like an expansion to New World. It looks like, you know, they basically, like, if they gave Sea of Thieves a graphical overhaul. Like, you don't see anything unique and different in that in the gameplay trailer, but like, you see that CGI trailer and it's like, yo, that shit look pretty cool. Like, it's just weird, you know. And here's the thing, I've been playing Ubisoft games, you know, for decades, and I own so many Ubisoft games where you're probably thinking I'm a Ubisoft fanboy because I keep buying their products. I want their games to succeed because Ubisoft, when it comes to their games, they have good ideas. Ubisoft has a lot of good ideas. Ubisoft has a lot of good IPs, but lately their games just have not been delivering. You know, Valhalla was bloated and trash, the worst Assassin's Creed game. Division 2, you know, should have just been an expansion to Division 1, not a separate, you know, game. You know, Skull and Bones doesn't look promising. For Honor, you know, that basically died a month after it came out. You know, over just generally, you know, Ubisoft has not been doing great when it comes to their titles. And it's like, if you're in my position, you play like a lot of Ubisoft games, you want them to succeed. It's like, all you got to do is show us as gamers, show the gamers that you care about your own products, because these games feel soulless. Skull and Bones, it has no soul. You know, Division 2 seemed like it had no soul. No, like, this game looks like it doesn't have any kind of atmosphere. You know, like, what we loved about us, let's say Assassin's Creed games. On my live stream, which you should follow, be description box below, we're going through the older Assassin's Creed games. We playing Assassin's Creed 2, and one of the things I mentioned in the previous stream was that what made us love the first, you know, few Assassin's Creed games, you know, 1 through, you know, 2 and Brotherhood and 4, and even when it comes down to like Unity, we love the environment and the atmosphere of the games, where it's like the world feels alive, the NPCs feel alive. Like, it was actually like, when they showed the trailer for Unity way back when, it was a talking point to show how populated Paris was and how the NPCs interact with the player when you're wandering around the city. Ubisoft games nowadays don't have that soul, that atmosphere, where it seems like you're part of a world, a living, breathing world. Did we see anything in those videos that show a living, breathing world? It seems like you just kind of exist and things around you are just there for you to just wander around. Division 2, you know, yes, there's a pandemic in that game, but the world doesn't really seem like the MP. Like, you'll see like a few stragglers, survivors in the streets, but they don't really seem like they're interacting with not only you, but the world itself. They just seem like they're just there just to say that there's people in the streets. Ubisoft games nowadays lack soul, they lack atmosphere, and it seems like they just feel like if there's a lot of stuff if you to like waste your time on, you know, going back to the bloated stories of Ubisoft games, you know, if there's all this stuff for you to do that has no purpose and no meaning, then you'll play the games. It's like, no, we want good content. It's not that we want 100 hours of emptiness. If you ask a gamer what they want, 60 hours of really good content or 100 hours of just nothingness, they're gonna want that 60 hours. They don't care. Like, it's not about having the most hours playable for video games. It's about what those hours like have within it. You know, how good are those hours? And Ubisoft doesn't get that. Ubisoft keeps putting these games out where they're just empty. Like, you're putting 100 hours into a game for Ubisoft, and you didn't really do anything in those 100 hours, and that's the issue there. So Skull and Bones is going to have a lot of, like, the day it comes out, there's going to be a lot of people who are looking at it with the side eye. There's people who are waiting to be negative towards it because it's a Ubisoft game, and Ubisoft has been what it has been the last like decade. Hopefully things change for Ubisoft. Hopefully their next few titles are better. You know, I did hear rumors about the next Assassin's Creed game going back to its roots. Skull and Bones, to me, just like, I would say just pass on it. I would say pass Skull and Bones because I kind of get that sense that this is one of them games where they're just putting it out just because it's done and that they just need to just be done with it. Kind of like, I'll give you like a movie example. There's a movie that came out called New Mutants. New Mutants was like the last X-Men movie that was made by Fox before Disney bought them. And Disney could have easily just been like, can't cancel that movie, throw it away. But they're like, no, just let it come out because it's already done. It's already been like marketing for it done. Just let it go out. If it sucks, it sucks. Who cares? Just put it out. It's the same thing here with Skull and Bones. I feel like Ubisoft's just like, look, we already like finished this game. We might as well put it out. People aren't going to care about this game. We won't make our budget back, but it's done. Let's not just erase it from existence. Let's just put it out and see what happens. Same thing I feel when it comes to Skull and Bones. But anyways, that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Y'all be safe. Because one of the big boy Anubis talking very fast. Watch previous videos if you want to. I'll catch you in the next one. Y'all be safe. I'm out of here. Deuces.